Welcome to another review from the Four Corners of the Board with your host, Graeme Anderson. Hello everyone, this is Graeme from Four Corners of the Board. Today I'm going to be reviewing Beyond Baker Street, a co-op game where you and your team will have to out-sleuth the master detective himself, Sherlock Holmes. You'll have to discover the opportunity, the suspect, and the motive before Sherlock Holmes does. How do you do that? Well, let's get to the table, I'll show you how it's played, then we'll come back and I'll give you my final thoughts. So here we have the game board for Beyond Baker Street. Your goal of the game is to get your investigation marker up to 20 and to confirm 3 different leads before Sherlock Holmes reaches the 0 marker. So how do we do that? Well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start off by choosing a case to do. Cases are numbered 1 through 6, and the higher the number, the more difficult they are. The most important thing about these cards is they give you 2 informations. Where Holmes will start on his track. So if we picked case 6, Holmes would not start on 15, he would start on number 8, which means it's closer to him finishing, and how many cards you can have in the impossible pile. The impossible pile, any cards that are in the impossible pile will add to your investigation mark, but we'll get into that as we show you the gameplay. So the beginner one says Holmes starts at 15, which is the leftmost, and you can have 4 cards in your impossible deck. So we'll just choose that one to start. The next thing we need to do is put out 3 suspects, 3 opportunities, and 3 motive cards, which are these down here. So you just randomly select 3, turn the top one over, and that's the current lead for that. So we do that for all 3. So each deck will have 3 cards in it. And what these say is that this lead requires 12 brown cards. So the footprints are always going to be brown, and you must have the value of cards that equal 12 brown underneath this lead to be able to confirm it. So how do we do that? Well, these are the evidence cards. Depending on the number of players will determine how many cards you get. So for a 3-player game, everybody gets 4 cards. Now, if you've never played Hanabi, this is the same as the Hanabi gameplay, in which you never look at your own cards. Whenever you're drawing cards, you draw them so you can only ever see the back, and you add them to your hand so everyone else at the table can see them, but you can never see your own cards. So the goal of the game is to play these cards into the leads and into the impossible deck face up so that you can complete your objectives. So on a player's turn, they can do one of 5 different actions. The first action they can do is called assist. Now assist means you're going to be helping someone else by giving them a clue about their cards. So if we look at my cards here, we can see that I have 3 blues and a 1, 2, 3, 4. So the types of clues you can give is you can say, you know, this is a brown card, or these 3 are blue, or you know, that's a 1 or that's a 2 or something, etc. like that. Whatever information you give them, you must show them all the cards that it pertains to. So you could not say that's blue without identifying that these 2 cards are as blue as well. So if I had 2 4s, you'd have to show both of the floors that the person had. How you tell them is also important, because it may give clues to the person. Whenever you use the assist action, you're going to be moving Sherlock Holmes 1 spot closer to his goal. So you want to make sure that whatever information you give during the assist action has the most information you can pack into that clue. Again, you can give 1 clue about 1 aspect of the cards, and you must show all the cards that clue pertains to. So that's the assist action. The second one is investigate. Investigate, again, let's say this is my hand. Investigate is taking 1 card and placing it face up in front of a lead. Now there are 3 possible outcomes when you play a card for a lead, when you do the investigate action. 1 is that you've played the correct suit, and the total of the value of the card, so I played a 3 here, is less than the value that it's looking for, which is 9 on this card. So I played a 3, that's okay. I would refill my hand back up to 4, and it'd be the next player's turn. Let's say you played a card that was a different suit. Let's say someone mistakenly played this 4 on that lead. What happens then is this 4, you ignore its suit, so it's no longer a brown card, and you add it to the current lead. So now this lead requires 13 blue card, or value of 13 blue. So you play it like that. The last action would be if you overshoot the 9. So let's just pull off, let's say there was a 5 on there, and then someone came along and played a 2. So they played a 2 here. We now have a value of 10 here. This is now considered a dead lead, which means this card basically gets discarded to the impossible deck. These cards that you played actually get shuffled back into the draw deck. And whenever you've played a card, you're going to redraw and fill up your hand again without ever looking at it. So we'll just turn that back, discard those cards. The fourth action you can do is called eliminate. Again, with your cards back to you. To eliminate a card, you're going to be placing it face up in the impossible deck. So let's say I take this card into 6. I'm going to play it face up to the impossible deck. That's going to move this marker here up 6 points. Now remember, you can only have, according to your case, so in our example, we can only have 4 cards in the impossible deck. So if there was a dead lead, like what we had before, you'll see that that increases the number of cards in the impossible deck, and you can only have a maximum of 4. Any card placed in the impossible deck that exceeds 4 is going to move Holmes along his track. So you want to make sure that you're not putting any face down cards in there, and you just want to have the face up cards, which will move your investigation track. And again, because I did that, I can draw another card and bring it back up to 4 cards in my hand. The other action you can take is the confirm action. So let's say you have the cards. Let's just find some cards here that will equal. Let's say the previous people had played 3 and 4 purple cards here. So now it's my turn. I'm deciding I'm not going to play a card. Since it requires 7 purple and there's 7 purple here, I can confirm. So I'm going to move that marker down there, turn these over. My turn's done, but now we have confirmed this lead. We know what the opportunity was. So no one needs to play any more cards there, and this one is done. And whenever we confirm something, Sherlock Holmes actually moves back 1 spot. So that's a good thing. The last action we can do is to pursue. Now, to pursue, you're going to be taking one of the top leads that hasn't been confirmed yet. So let's say we didn't want this one anymore. We can actually discard this card and put it in the impossible deck face down. And because it's face down, it does not affect our investigation numbers, and turn this over. So if, for example, it was later in the game and he knows that no one around the table had any blue cards left, then you may want to turn it over and see whether you can get a better draw. And that's essentially how you play. Now, you will win the game if you can get this to exactly 20 and then confirm your final lead. If you confirm the final lead before this is at 20, you automatically lose. If this goes over 20, you lose. If Sherlock Holmes ever gets to 0, you lose. If any of these decks ever runs out, you lose. So you want to see that it is a cooperative game and it is difficult. There are many ways to lose, but only one way to win. So the only way to win again is to have this at 20 and then confirm the third and final lead. So that's how you play. I did want to mention one last thing to kind of extend the replayability. There are also these character cards that you can hand out at the beginning of the game. They range from 4 pipes, which basically means it's a good card. It will make the game significantly easier, or definitely easier, right to 1 pipe, which makes the game harder. So if you had a mix of experienced players, you could have some people play with the 1 pipes, which will do negative things, and maybe give the new people 3 or 4 pipes to kind of help them along. So this is a good way to add replayability to the game, because there are quite a number of these. So anyway, let's get back and hear my final thoughts on Beyond Baker Street. So, my final thoughts on Beyond Baker Street. Now this game is very similar to a game called Hanabi. And if you've played Hanabi, you know the basics of this Beyond Baker Street. It adds 1 or 2 few mechanisms more, but the basic game of not being able to see your cards is the same. I did find that, like Hanabi and other games which you were trying to give clues, we developed certain table talk. And I'm not sure whether this is technically cheating, but I know people do it in games like Shadows over Camelot or Hanabi or Beyond Baker Street, in which the way you give the clues is also part of the clue. For example, if someone has a 6 in their hand that I want them to play, but they have 2 6s, I'm going to be stressing the 6 that I want them to play. So for example, I could say, this is a 6, and this is a 6, to really let them know that that 6 is the important one, And the other one is a 6 that's not as important. Now I'm giving some information, but at least they know which card I want them to play. That being said, I would think that if you were playing with a mixed group, some people that had played this game before and have this vocabulary and some people that didn't, I can see that being frustrating. Because the couple people that have played this game before know how to give the clues, and the people that don't, it's frustrating because every time you give a clue, Sherlock Holmes moves along, and you want to avoid that as much as possible. So you have to make sure that the clues that are given are as information-packed as possible. Now, that being said, this game is not really thematic. It really is just a card game about laying down cards that, you can't see. I'm going to give this game a 6. It's a good game. It's not a great game. And I feel the same way about Hanabi. I didn't love Hanabi. I liked Hanabi, and I would give Hanabi about the same score. Now, with the character cards, I think those really add something to the game. I would never play this game without those character cards. If you have a mixed group again with experienced and non-experienced players, you can maybe give the experienced player some of those one-pipe cards, which makes their life more difficult. And give the people that are new, the four-pipe ones. 4-pipe ones, which makes their life a little easier. So with those character cards, I'd be looking at a 6.5, 6.75, somewhere around there. It definitely is a good addition to the game, and something I think that if you've played Hanabi before and have kind of run it out, that you may want to switch over to something like Beyond Baker Street, because it's a little different, the way that you're trying to solve the leads and the possible deck. And also with those character cards, it adds more to the gameplay of Hanabi. Now, if you'd like to hear more opinions of Beyond Baker Street, please feel free to check out our podcast at fourcornersoftheboard.com and just click the podcast link. Thank you, and thanks for watching. Thank you for watching a review from the Four Corners of the Board. Please follow us on social media or contact us directly through our email.